Hello, everybody.
Hello. So
Yes.
I'll just quickly introduce myself. So my name is Vanessa. I'm the International Marketing and Recruitment Manager at London International Academy. We are a private secondary day and boarding school located in London, Ontario, Canada. We are grade 9 to grade 12, offering the Ontario Secondary School Diploma Program, and we also are an IB World School. So we offer the IB Diploma Program. It's for grade 11 and grade 12. It's a 2-year program pre-university. So I would like to, first of all, just thank you for everyone for joining this webinar. It should be a really informative information session to talk about study permits in Canada, talking about this at a very crucial time right now for students that are coming to Canada and applying to study abroad. And so we have brought in our experts here. This is Ms. Jerusalem Berhan, and she is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. So this is important information for you all that are joining us today to only take advice from regulated Canadian immigration consultants. They are the professionals, legally can provide advice and help you have a successful application when you are applying for your study permit or any immigration applications that you're applying for, permanent residency or even citizenship one day. So please go to these individuals. If they are not RCIC certified, they are designated, do not take advice from them. These are trained professionals. So Jerusalem, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise with us. Jerusalem has her own practice, so she's with Berhan Immigration, and she will share a little bit more about what services that she provides as well. So first of all, I'm actually just going to start off the webinar by showing a quick video of London, and then Jerusalem, if you'd like to continue on after. So.
I choose London because it's a beautiful city and also because its famous name, London, but in Canada.
I chose London, Canada because I fell in love with the country and its people, and I wanted to practice my French.
It's a nice small community and such a great place for me to learn English.
I love the culture here. I love the people.
There's so many cultures here. There's so many different backgrounds.
It sort of feels like in London you really know everybody because people are very nice to you.
I chose London, Canada because it would be a great place for me to study to get into university.
I chose London, Canada because of the Western University so that I can apply my research skills into the industry.
I chose London, Canada because it's a great city and this is where I found my professional career.
I chose London, Canada because there's a community here that welcomes me.
London, Canada is actually a place which accepts everybody.
They are so receptive even though you come from a foreign country and they just mingle with you.
The city's it's amazing.
It's safe, quiet, and simply I fell in love with it.
I love London. It's my second home.
I never ever had the feeling that I'm homesick.
Never feel like lonely. Everything here just provides me the feelings of being at home.
And I think this is a great thing to say about the city, that you consider this your home.
My most favorite thing about to do in London, Canada would be playing in the snow.
I go crazy when I see snow.
One of my favorite places in London, Canada is the Covent Garden Market.
I like going there, I like shopping there.
There's so many ethnic restaurants that you can go and eat at.
I like the atmosphere there, I like people there, I like everything.
My favorite thing to do in London, Canada is playing golf in the summertime. It's just awesome.
My favorite thing to do in London, Canada
is actually going to the park.
The Victoria Park, I think it's really beautiful.
Especially how beautiful it is in the summertime.
With the blue sky and the clean air, everything was just quiet as in a fairy tale.
It's beautiful.
I love it, it's amazing.
Great. So I hope that gave you kind of an idea of what part of Ontario we are in and a bit about the City of London. So let's hand it over to Jerusalem. Yes, please tell us a bit about what kind of services that you are providing and why it's important to come through at RCIC.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Thank you everybody for participating. So like Vanessa said, my name is Jerusalem Berhan. I'm an immigration consultant regulated and I've been practicing for several years now. And my practice includes several services, but what I will focus on today is the study permit. So to do that, we'll be sharing PowerPoint. I'll go through that so then you guys can ask questions at the end if you like. Okay, perfect. So this is who we are, Berhan Immigration and Settlement Services. So we have two offices. We have one in London, Ontario, and we have one about an hour away, Woodstock, Ontario. So we help clients from abroad, from everywhere in the world, including those in Canada. So our services, our mission, of course, is we work professionally and ethically to give our clients the most effective solution and help for their dreams come true, right? Our value is we have set standards and values for our team members to follow these values so that we as well as our clients can succeed, right? So what we're here for is for you to succeed, for you to be able to get the permits that you need to come to Canada, right? So we provide effective solutions to make your process happen. If it's a study permit, to make it happen. Effective implementation of plans. So once you get the study permit, what are the next steps, right? So we give you that roadmap and quick, friendly, and efficient services, team skills. We are always communicating with our clients and think outside of the box and get good results. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two locations in London, but that doesn't mean that we only serve clients there. We serve people from all parts of the world and those here in Canada. Okay. So study permit is what I want to talk to you all about today. So the study permit is a document that Canadian government issues that allows foreign nationals to study and at designated learning institutions. Okay, like the London International Academy is one of those schools. So most foreign nationals need a study permit to study in Canada, and you should apply before you travel to Canada. Okay, that's without the study permit, then you won't be allowed to even come into Canada for your studies. So the study permits for students enrolled in a secondary school, so grade 9s to grade 12, in all provinces and territories except Quebec. Okay, and it can be issued for the full length of the intended period of studies at a secondary school in Canada. So if you're coming to start at a grade 9, then your study permit would be issued from grade 9 to grade 12. And once you get to grade 12 and you apply for university, then you would have a chance to extend your study permit as well. So once you're here in Canada, you follow those steps. You don't have to leave the country. You just can keep extending your permit. And your study permit is not a visa. So usually when you receive a study permit, then you will then be issued a visitor visa with the study permit as well. Okay, but if you have the study permit, you cannot just come in with that. You also have to have the entry visa to come into Canada. So what that visa would allow you is, as a student, let's say in the summer, if you want to go home to visit families, then that visitor visa would allow you to go back in and out of Canada. For those that are visa exempt countries, then you would also be required to have the electronic travel authorization. Okay, so that serves the same as the visitor visa, which allows you to go home during your break time. Even though your study permit is for 4 years, you still will need that entry visa. So a study permit is how long can you stay in Canada without a study permit. So once your study permit, so let's say your study permit is usually valid for the length of your study program, as I mentioned earlier, for 4 years, plus an extra 90 days. So the 90 days lets you prepare to leave Canada or apply to extend your studies. So the plan is, which I'm sure when you come to Canada, what we want for you is to transition into the college or universities once you finish grade 12. So at that grade 12, when you finish your study permit ends for the high school, then you have 90 days to apply for the college or universities without leaving the country. So, okay, so if your school asks you to take courses for a prerequisite, for example, some schools would let you say, you need this program for English program to be able to start the program. So to take courses before they accept you into the main program, you have a conditional acceptance. So your study permit will be valid for the length of those courses plus the 1 year. So let's say if you're coming for a grade 12, but you will require, a prerequisite to be able to start your grade 12, then your visa with your study permit would be for that period of time plus the 1 year to finish your high school. Okay, so if you finish your studies after your study permit expires, you do not, if you don't finish your courses before the date on your permit, you must apply to extend your study as a student. Okay, so the one thing we don't want you to do is that to be here in Canada without a valid permit. Okay, so if you don't, then you will need to stop studying or leave Canada immediately, or you can extend. That's why I mentioned earlier that we have a roadmap for you. So we follow when your study permit expires. So this way we can help you extend or change your status. Okay, so if you finish your studies before your study permit expires, then you would have, your permit will stop. So let's say you came to Canada on a study permit for 4 years. If you decide not to attend school, that permit will only be valid for 90 days. Okay, for you to make other arrangements or whatever needs to be done. But after 90 days, that study permit expires, even though it says it's for 4 years. If you're not attending school once you're here in Canada, it will expire after the 90 days. So that's very important to know. So can you go back home or travel during school breaks? So as I mentioned earlier, yes, you can. So if you leave Canada during your studies, you may need to show proof of that you're enrolled in your school and have a valid study permit when you return to Canada. And if you have a visitor visa or the ETA, as I mentioned earlier, it must still be valid when you return to Canada. So Canada usually issues these permits for the extent of your passport. So if your passport, let's say, is valid for 5 years, then your visitor visa would be valid for 5 years. If your passport is valid for 2 years, you would only be given for the 2 years. So it's always good to pay attention to the length of your passport before you apply. So if your passport is expiring in just few months when you submit your application for a study permit, it's always a good idea to renew it before you do so. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, your study permit is valid for 4 years or 3 years, and then you have the visitor visa, which you can go back in and out of Canada. Okay, your study permit alone would not let you go back home and then come back. So what are the required documents? It's very important to submit all the documents that are required by the government of Canada to be issued a study permit. Okay, so the first thing is you have to get a letter of acceptance. So when you apply for a school, the London International Academy would then give you an acceptance letter. You use that letter and proof of your identity, which is your passport, and proof of your financial support. Okay, those are very high important documents that you will need. Then the external additional documents will be letter of explanation. What are your plans? Why do you choose to come to Canada and learn? Why not stay in your home country and do your educations? So you need to have a plan. What is your plan, right? And a custodian declaration. So if you're coming to the boarding school, then you will be provided documents from the school that supports where you will be staying while you're here in Canada as a student. And of course, you will need a digital photo to be submitted with the application. So to go back into the most required and the most reasons of why applications don't go through is the proof of financial support. So when you submit, when your parents or anyone submits the proof of financial support, who is going to be paying for your education, needs to do that bank statement for the 6 months up to a year. Okay, and money cannot be deposited just last month and then show the financial requirements. The money should have stayed in the bank for 6 months at least, up to a year, and it has to show where that money came from. So if the parents, they have to show their employment. If it is a savings account, then it has to show that it has been in that account for some time. So those are the very important documents that are required to submit with the application. Okay, and the COVID plan. So travel exemptions and restrictions for international students. So this is where a lot of confusion is happening now for students to come in, whether it's high school students, college, or university students. So to be able to enter Canada as a student, you must have a valid study permit or a letter of introduction to show you were approved for a study permit. Okay, so by attending a designated learning institution with a COVID readiness plan approved by its province or territory, such as the London International Academy is one of those schools that are actually designated learning institutions with a COVID-19 readiness, that have a COVID-19 readiness plan already attained. Okay, in addition, in an immediate family member travels with you. So let's say if you're a minor coming to Canada, your parents can come with you as long as they have a visitor visa, okay, to kind of accompany you to help you settle in your schools and all your accommodations, okay? But the thing is, they can stay here as visitors, but they cannot be here to work or go to school. To do that, then there is another process that they have to go through for themselves. But you as a minor can be accompanied by your parents to help you settle. Okay. So for parents, just to add a little point there, for parents, there is right now, for anybody that is coming to visit Canada, they need an authorization to enter Canada. So they have to be invited, whether it's a parents visiting their children or father and mother, things like that. But if the parent is coming to Canada to accompany you to get settled, then they do not need this authorization to enter Canada. Okay. So this is, I'm not sure if you can see it. So this is before you travel. We always advise our clients, once they have their study permit and they're ready to travel right now, they have to do a COVID test that is valid for 72 hours. And they have to show that to be able to board the flight plus their study permit, all their permits to be able to come into Canada. And once they're here at the airport, they will then have to book a hotel. That is right now pending. We don't know for how long that's gonna go. Then they will be doing another COVID test at the airport. Then they will go to the hotel until they get the results. Once they get the results, they can check out from the hotel, get to their destination, and continue their quarantine period. Okay, then in about 10 days, they have to do again another home COVID test. And then that gets submitted electronically or mailed. And then once that is all good, then they can be out of their quarantine. But they have to continue their quarantine period once they're here in Canada. But the trouble, but overall, is that we have to understand students can still come into Canada as long as they have the required documents. And as I mentioned, their parents also can come with them to accompany them as long as they have the proper travel visa, a visitor visa to come into Canada. Okay. So that is it for the presentation. I wanted to just touch base for a little bit most important things because I want to open it up to you. Ask us questions so we can be able to answer those for you, give you enough time.
So yes, thank you so much. That was very informative. And I just want to cover just basically, you know, for those of you that are thinking, well, why, you know, should I work with someone who's an RCIC, or maybe you're working through an agency that doesn't have this designation, or maybe you're doing it just on your own. And both of those are fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work through your agent or anything like that, but working with your agency versus someone with a RCIC designation, you know, information like the information that Jerusalem was providing us, the financial proof in the bank account of at least 6 months, and other information like providing up-to-date information, especially with COVID right now. And also they have an international network with all visa offices as well. So having that kind of support ensures that you are getting the proper attention with your application. For example, if you go through an agency that maybe doesn't know these regulations and rules and legal obligations as part of the process, you could think that you had a great application and one little small thing was overlooked, or they didn't know this piece of information, and your whole application is done and you were denied and you have to reapply. So it's just better to go through the right path the first time around when you are applying for your study permit. It's so important, and that's why they are here to help. This is why Canada has this designation. So yeah, I'm gonna now, and by the way, I would also like to introduce Tahisa, who is part of the immigration firm as well. So let's open it up as well. If anyone has any questions, we are happy to answer anything.
Just one thing is that when you're getting assistance from your agents, as Vanessa said, please make sure that they are licensed and they're regulated. Okay, it's against the law for anybody to practice immigration without any license. Okay, so please make sure it's for your own good. Okay, so they are ghost consultants, so do not use ghost consultants unless you see that they are regulated. And this can be also checked online. If you go, you know, take the name and then check them online to see if they're regulated, you will have all that information accessible to you.
So yeah, let's answer first couple questions. Jerusalem, can you see the first one at the top there in the Q&A?
Yes. So the question is, I recently finished my master's in supply chain and logistics from the UK and want to further pursue an MBA in BC. Would I be facing challenges whilst applying for MBA since I already have? No, as long as you can explain it on your study plan properly as to why you need that extra education, how it would benefit you in your home country. So this is actually a good point, because you need to prove that once you finish your education that you will go back to your home country. So why would that benefit you? Why do you want to come to Canada to do an MBA? What's the best thing about the university or college in BC? Why did you choose it? And then once you get that education, how will that benefit you in your home country? Because then that will prove that you will leave at the end of your authorized stay. Even though you have the opportunity to get a work permit and you can stay, but you need to prove that you will leave Canada at the end of your authorized stay, and that will be submitted with your application. So it's about perfecting your applications, but yes, as long as you can explain it, you can go ahead. The other question is, how's the processing time? Is it taking longer than normal due to COVID?
I will just say, sorry, yeah. I'll just say one quick thing about that, and you can feel free to add on, Rustam. There's actually, Rustam, you're familiar obviously with the processing times on the website of the government. I was just going to quickly show that to anyone that's, wants to see. So this, can you see my screen here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the check processing times here. You can select the application that you are applying for example, temporary residence, for study permit from outside of Canada, where are you applying from? You can pick your country. We can say, Nigeria, check processing time. Right now it's 19 weeks. So yes, they are processing applications during the pandemic, but as you can see, do not delay in getting your study permit going because yes, it can take up to 19 weeks. And if you're starting in September, that doesn't leave you a lot of time to come over. But yes, Jerusalem, do you have anything to add on to that?
That's a good idea, because we usually suggest that you apply, at least even pre-COVID, you apply 3 months prior to your start time. So even now, if you get the admission letter, start it as early as you can, so that way it gives you time to be able to travel to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for question and answer, the other one I see, so that's a longer time, not normal, so we answered that. If I want to attend some program.
So if I want to attend summer program 3 to 4 weeks, do I still need a study permit?
So yes, right now I would say yes. Prior to COVID, if you had a visitor visa, you can come in and you were able to do a program that is 6 months or less, which this one would have qualified. But now it depends for you to be able to get a study permit, how convincing your application is, how important is this summer program, 3 to 4 weeks for you to attend. So that is something that you need to look at, and to be able, if it is going to be 3 to 4 weeks and can be done online, it may be hard to convince, but you need a study permit to answer.
The next question is, so should I make sure, same person that asked the MBA question, so should I make sure that I tailor my application in a manner that lets the immigration officer know that I'll leave after completing my degree?
Yes, that is important. So the requirements are the financial, why you want to come to Canada to learn, and the fact that you will go back at the end of your stay are the most important things to convince. So yes, the answer would be yes.
The next question is for a minor, grade 9. They're only 14 years old. Will they be writing study plan, or will the parent?
So it would be nice if it comes to, it doesn't have to be very hard. This is just a supplemental thing to show, okay, why do you want to come to Canada? So even both can write it, right? It's nice to come from the grade 9 as to what her or his dreams are by attending the school here in Canada, what they intend to do once they get into the university level, what are the benefits. So it's just a supplementary, and coming from the grade 9 is good. And also from the parents, why you want your child to come to Canada and get the best education to have for the child to have a better future in their careers. So yeah, I would suggest it from both of them for sure.
Okay, so the next question is, how early can I enter to Canada before the school starts? Can I spend the summer here before the school starts, like a month before? So if they were to come early August, they start their classes at the end of August.
Yes, so if you have, it all depends on when your study permit is issued, right? So if, let's say, your class are starting in September and you're lucky to have your study permit and your visa already issued in July, and you want to come for the month of August, by all means, you can come and then get settled too. It helps you to get to know the environment, to get to adjust to the school. For sure, the earlier you can come, the better.
So on their
That's why it's actually suggested to submit applications earlier time. Sorry, Vanessa.
No, that's okay. So on their application, do they put a different date? So they put the date that they actually want to arrive, knowing that their study is later. Does that interfere with anything? The visa officers, do they
no
note that as a red flag or no?
No. So let's say if it would show when their school is starting, right, September, and then if they enter that they want to come in August, I don't see it as a problem, and it's never been a problem because students are given enough chance to be able to settle and to get familiar with the environment. So if they can get in that early with their study permit and visa, yes, that should not be a problem at all.
Great. I have some questions actually for you. So my question is, what would you say to those that are watching right now? You know, we talked about some of the benefits of working through you and your immigration firm, but so what is the benefit of applying for a study permit, for example, through Berhan Immigration and working with an RCIC? So for those that are like, well, I could do it this way or this way, what would you say? What's the benefit if they're deciding right now?
Yeah, so the benefit of working with the regulated immigration consultant is that we have seen so many cases. First of all, we have gone to school and we've learned the laws, you know, the ins and outs, what are the required documents. Not only that, but we've seen a lot of applications go through and what the officers are looking for. We've already seen so many applications which we are able to perfect. We already know when we're submitting an applications, we already know what is the most important, what's not. And when we submit your applications and we need to follow up, it's easier. We follow up through the portal, the authorized portal. We can submit a work forms for you and we can follow up. And if there is additional documents, then it's already, we have it and we submit that for you. So it's just a peace of mind. In addition to all of that, it gives you peace of mind, less stress, that you have already handed it to a qualified, you know, professional. That way you don't have to worry. And then we do the best that we can. And while we're submitting the application, we also write our opinions why your applications should be successful, why you should be able to get a study permit as well. So that's why I strongly suggest to go with an immigration consultant.
And so my next question is, what would you say is the most common mistake that you see people make with study permit applications?
The first one is when submitting financial statements, right? So I have seen people depositing, let's say, 10,000, 20,000 just last week, and then they do print the bank statement and submit it. You can't do that. You have to show where that money come from and all that stuff. The other thing is their study plan. Okay, what is it that they want to come here for? Explaining, because you cannot just say, I want to come to Canada, but why? Why do you want to choose Canada? Why do you want to choose the London International Academy? You know, you have to be able to explain that. But Thaisa, also, do you have any response on that? What is the most
common mistakes?
Common mistakes.
I agree with what you've said so far. So the finances, being able to prove that you can support yourself. Another thing is returning home, that most of the times they're just not confident that you're going to go back home. Other than that, I think these are the main two things.
And how does a student prove that they're going to come back to the country? I mean, they want to study abroad, maybe they want to go to high school, university in Canada. How do they prove that they want to come back? Like, what would be some reasons to come back?
So for, let's say, if it is in high school, the way I would present it would be that the student is coming to finish up their high school. So that way they can go to university. So at the end of their high school, we will be applying for additional study permit to be able to go to college or university. However, once they're finished their college or university, they will be going back home, because this is how it's going to benefit them when they go back after finishing their university or college, right? So the high school part is a path to going into university here in Canada. It's going to be continuous, but then after that, they will go back home. And we all know that, and even the officers know that it is in the law that once students finish, let's say if it is a 3-year college or university, then they are given a 3-year work permit right after. Then they work for the 3 years, and they have another opportunity to apply for an express entry, which would lead them to become a permanent resident. So it is in the law. The officers they know it, but we still have to prove that they will go back home at the end of their authorized stay. So that's where we come in, right? That's where we help to explain all of this to help the process to go smoothly. When the officers look at the application, it's, you know, it's kind of smooth. It's there. We don't leave anything for questioning or doubts in the officer's mind.
Yep. So we have a couple more questions here. Did you want to talk about?
Before you do, I just wanted to touch on what Jerusalem was saying. Like you were asking what specific, but to add to that is every case is different. So what may be a good proof for you may not be for me, because maybe your parents own a business, as opposed to my parents are maybe a doctor or something like that. So the proof that we would have to push for your case would definitely be different. So for every case, we really have to look at the background and say, okay, because of that, this would be a good path for you. And then that person will request specific documents. Another person, same situation. So it's kind of very technical as well.
Yes, that's a great point, because everyone's case is different. And so, yeah, having someone that can analyze your personal situation and help you get the points across to the visa officers, that's crucial. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. One of the questions, I don't know if you, how much would a consultancy session cost with your firm? So some good questions.
That is a very good question. So as we said, it depends on case by case. So if you go to our website, which as I'll actually send it back. If Thaisa, if you can write the website there. Yes. You have it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and 2 hours, and you can choose how many questions you have, how much time you need, and book it accordingly.
Great. There's 2 more questions there. Ursula, I'm not sure if you want to answer either of those, or
let me see.
The question and answer.
And if any I can apply for bachelor's degree. Yeah, you can apply. I'm reading the question that can I apply for a bachelor's degree? Well, yes, even though today we're focusing more for the high schools, but even for college and universities, yes, you can apply. Like I said, as long as you have a proper study plan and financial abilities to be able to prove that you can afford to come to Canada as a student.
Jerusalem, there's one that asks for a minor, grade 9, is only 14 years old. Will they write the study plan, or will the parents?
Oh yes, that's the one we discussed earlier with Vanessa. So it would be good to have both write it. As I mentioned, it's supplementary. So the more the merrier. So if a student can write that, in their own words, it's cute, and I would be, if I was the office, I would be happy to read that as well. So yes, it doesn't hurt. The more the merrier for sure. Have both write it, the parent and the 14-year-old. I think there was another question from someone.
There's one more. I am Pakistani. I live in Kuwait since birth, only left for my BA and MSc. Issue is residency lasts only a year here and I have to renew it. Would that be an issue, since that brings a sort of uncertainty of whether I can go back or not? So you're do you mean you're currently in Canada right now? Or
I think he's saying he's currently in Kuwait, but he has the 1-year residency. So if you are, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Maybe that's a question that he'll have to email you about. Or
yeah, that is a very specific question. But if you have the residency, it has to be renewed if you're going to be applying from any country. So for anybody that is not in their own countries, and they are in a different country, as long as they're not visitors, if they have a residency there, they can apply from that country as well. But yes, feel free to email us and we'd be happy to assist you with that question, Ahmed.
Great. So I think that's all the time we have for today. I think that answered everyone's questions as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining our webinar. And thank you so much, Jerusalem and Ahisa, for just giving this amazing presentation. So insightful and so helpful in terms of study permits and arriving in Canada. And we hope to see many international students arrive in Canada this year. We're not letting COVID stop us. Schools are prepared to take students. We have a plan in place, and it is very safe. Obviously we have to be cautious with anything, but the government has opened their borders since November 2020 to international students specifically, and allowing students to continue coming here. So yeah, it's good news for Canada, and so we hope to see many of you here next year.
If I may have one last say, Vanessa, I think for those that are thinking of sending their kids to boarding school, I think that's an amazing thing, because with schools, as you know, it's in and out. Like, they go to school today and then tomorrow it's closed and they're home. But going to a boarding school gives them consistency. It is, consistent. There is no interruption. They're going to school now, not today, not tomorrow. So it gives them, and then the interaction with other students. So I think it's a great way to look into having your kids get the best education possible. And with any study permits, anything is possible. And that's why we are here to help you with that. So if you have any doubts, please do email us in regards to the study permit. In regards to the education, you have the expert Vanessa there, but I highly recommend the kids get consistency with schools.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.